You guys make your way to the front door of the the beard the bearded wench, as the bearded wench tavern. As you make your way in, the tavern isn't far from a couple of points of interest, namely the docks and some of the warehouses that are down there. Dove, you've probably heard of this particular tavern just in your neck of the woods here. It's really rough. There's plenty of fights each night. The cops steer clear of this, just because there's a certain amount of business that goes on here. Every single illegal activity you can think of probably finds its way in and out of this place. So yeah, there you go. They have business meetings in this location. Tonight, the tavern is it's buzzing with activity. You've got drunkards everywhere shouting. There's drunken dancing on tables and along the side, and some bare-chested dwarfman is running along the bar top and is looking to jump onto the back of some ogre that's on the other end of the bar. And there's that putrid smell, that sickly sweet smell of vomit and alcohol, and unwashed sea dog is just all over the place here. So it's you thought the other tavern, the Ten Bells was rough. This place is a few levels above that. So the first thing you notice, there's this large ogre that's laughing heartily at a fight occurring by the bar, and as you look over, the dwarf has made contact with the other ogre and is starting to try and punch the guy in the ears. People have made room for the brawl, and between the rather large ogre and this dwarf, they're just having a great time. They're starting to pass money back and forth and really have a good time of it. But despite the size of the let's see here. I'm going to read my notes here. So despite the size of this guy, of this ogre, the dwarf seems to be actually beating him down, like his initial punches to the head seem to be doing a trick. And so money starts changing hands, people are laughing, and the dwarf finishes, the dazed ogre is on his side and basically just kind of bounces his head off of the bar and walks away. And in the midst of the crowd, you see Davy, and he stumbles his way towards the dwarf and starts trying to shout into his ear and that kind of thing. The dwarf is trying to push him away, that sort of stuff. So what do you guys do? How do you want to mingle or not mingle?
Can I kind of, unobtrusively kind of get Davy's attention? Be like, hey, you told me you'd get him?
And so,
just kind of give him the nod and be like, huh? Eh.
See, nah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get the gentleman named Harrington, huh? Yeah.
You want to see Harrington? Yeah. I want to see a dwarf? Yeah. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Anyway, sorry. I apologize profusely to the folks at home.
You do that all night.
Yeah, we can do that all night. Yeah. So anyway, the Davy kind of looks over and he sees you and he's stumbling his way over to this dwarf that has just finished his brawl, and somebody there's a rat folk that walks over to the dwarf and hands him his shirt and this kind of heavy buttoned overcoat. Hands it to the dwarf, and the dwarf's pushing Davy away, and Davy's you can't really hear him over the din of the crowd, but Davy locks eyes with Dove and looks down at the dwarf and looks at Dove and looks at the dwarf and then looks at Dove again. Looks up in the air. Somebody bumps into him, and he jostles into the dwarf, and then he's and he's pointing towards you, Dove, and the dwarf looks up and locks eyes with you as well. And so, yeah. So what it looks like you've made some form of contact, at least with this particular dwarf.
So I'm actually gonna wander over to the dwarf and be like, "You handle yourself well, friend."
Oh, of course I do. You gotta be a bit tougher than most to make it in this bar. So, Davey here. Hey, bugger off. He, like, pushes pushes Davey away. And Davey's like, right, no problem. He starts kind of like stumbling off, and somebody kind of comes out from the middle of the crowd and grabs him and takes him over to the side. And so, the dwarf looks up and says, "So, I'm Harrington. What can I do for you?"
We are looking for some children. Some children of a family who is worried about them. And we heard that by a man named Doyle, that they might have had a particular interest in your place, particularly this neighborhood. And we were wondering, a man such as yourself who would know things, if perhaps you might know things about these children.
Oh, children, eh? Now you're talking about that, what's that puff's name?
Smythe?
Smythe. I don't know Smythe. I'm talking about, who's that guy? The one that, he writes all the fancy stuff.
Doyle. Robert Doyle.
Yeah. He's trying to show these kids something else. And, me and a couple guys were out there, and, Doyle owes me a bit of money. He settles his debt. And he's got his kids with him. And so, these kids are alright. They're interesting. What was it? Henrietta and Mikey, sound like Mike. He likes to go by Mikey. He thinks he's all tough when he gets around us. He's like all puffing his chest up and everything. But, his kids are alright. They don't get underfoot too much. And as long as they, make their way back out of here, I don't have to worry about them. Totally fine with them being around, I guess. Of course, guess it's not the best place for kids, right?
True, but I've also discovered that just because a place is not the best for children does not mean they don't show up.
No, you got that right, that's for sure.
Well, so you mentioned that Mr. Doyle, he owed you some money. I don't mean to pry into personal effects, and please tell me if I am being how you say inappropriate. But what business did that man have with you that he owed you money?
Owe me money? Business is business. Sometimes some people get in the way of things, and we need to find out some information about said people, so make sure some information floats his way. That's all. Don't do these kinds of things for free. Sometimes it get a little bit dodgy, get a little dangerous, but that's what I do.
I'm gonna throw a little money around because I've got income as a business owner.
All right.
I'm basically going to do the old shake hand thing. And in my hand, I'm going to have 2 shillings.
Wow.
Pardon me. I'm sorry, my dog just came in. I'm gonna have 2 shillings in my hand. I'm gonna put it in his hand.
All right.
And because of the fact that Davey said that he's a man who gives information for money, so I'm going to say, I would like to know what sorts of man would get in the way of Mr. Doyle's business, and perhaps how you made him go away.
Oh, it's not anything like that. And he shakes your hand, and he brings his hand down. He's very professional about it, and his hand immediately goes to his pocket, and you see his hand kind of rustling around inside the pocket a bit, and then he comes back out. I wasn't about getting rid of anything. Just about find out some info, that's all. Find out a little bit of dirt, that's all. Find out a little bit of where people go, their to and fro's, that sort of thing. Give it to Mr. Doyle. That's it.
And I'm gonna say again, and this was about who? exactly.
By who? Well, how's this fella? He's kind of, what you want to say, I don't know. I don't get political about this stuff, but he's one of them bosses, you know. He's one of the guys that, still no trouble. Hey, we work hard. We need to have some respect. And we don't want to go to war. Don't want to get our bollocks shut off. That sort of thing. You know what? Who am I to say that one person doesn't deserve a hole in the head any more than another person? Government ain't got no right in that, but I ain't got no right to put my nose in that kind of, politics and stuff. Well, there's this guy. He hangs down at that Tin Bell's place, right? And, by the way, if you want to talk to this Doyle person, this Robert Doyle, you head up to that Tin Bell's. That's where he hangs out most of the time. That's his bar, it is. But, anyway, this guy, his name's Croyle. And it's not to be confused with Doyle, right? It's a Croyle, Martin Croyle, right? He's, I don't know, he's a little bit wound tight, if you know what I mean. It's like if he was a gun, it would take, a little bit of a breath for his load to get shot, I mean, he's just wound too tight for business, that's all. It's not proper to be that stressed.
Dove's gonna ask him if he's basically going to describe the firebrand that we met at the Ten Bells and be like, and basically asking if that's the man he's talking about.
Oh, that sounds like Martin, all right. Boy, that guy, he can shout at the rafters, he can. Lift the roof off a place. Get people all fired up. I mean, you know what? Then there's like fights, there's brawling and stuff. And ain't no respectable brawling where you can make a copper or two. It's just fighting. I think he likes to fight for the sake of it, I don't know. Just not my cup of tea.
So,
he looks back at the ogre who's still kind of unconscious on the ground. He says, "Not my cup of tea. If I'm gonna get in a fight, I want to make a little coin for it,
I was basically going to say, I'm basically going to like point to my scars, like the eye, and other things, and be like, I'm a man who appreciates a good fight himself, and I'm basically going to kind of look around and be like, is there anything else that you found out about this man? And I'm going to look down to the shillings that are still in his hand and be like, I believe I've paid you properly for this information.
Oh, that's the trick, ain't it? You got to decide what's the currency fluctuation here, right? How much will the market actually bear? Hey, no offense, right? No offense. So he kind of like rocks back on his heels a little bit, and he straightens his coat, and he looks over. There's this rat folk that's next to him, and he gives him a smile and looks back over at this guy. He's like, get a load of these guys, and he says, "All right, what more you want to know? Give me something specific there."
I have reason to believe that if Doyle is paying this man, is looking for information on this man, he believes that he is somehow tied to the missing children. I believe that Doyle knows more than he lets on about these missing children that we are looking for. I believe that he is responsible somehow for some of these shady business that's going on. A man of that sort of stature buying a bar in this part of town, it's not the sort of business venture that their type usually does. I think that there is some reason he is here. And I think that perhaps the information you know about this man, this Martin, who was at the 10 Bells earlier this evening, I think that perhaps this, anything that you might give me would be beneficial for us doing our job. I want to know the relationship with Martin and Doyle, because a man does not generally ask for information from somebody he lets hang out in his bar.
Oh, you're a right smart one, aren't you? All right. Hey, look, I don't know what kind of thing this Martin Croyle has on him. I don't know, and I don't really care, to be honest. All he wanted to know is what he could use against him if the time came. So me, I find out Martin Croyle, he's got this thing for a girl, right? Got this thing for a girl that she likes to get all gussied up like a toy soldier, right? So I follow him, we want to find out what's going on. Me and my buddy here, we do a little bit of investigating, right? Come to find out, I'm going and investigating him, and I see his girlfriend, like I say, she gets all dressed up like a toy soldier or something, puts on his face, right, like she's a soldier, and she's off leading them mobs. Right? She got these high ideas that she's going to take all these people and make them all riled up and then take them to the fancy parts, right? Set things on fire, maybe make a ruckus or something, and that sort of thing.
We saw her there. That's not in character, that's me saying we saw her there.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that really makes me laugh. And he looks back over at the rat man, and he's kind of snickering to himself, and kind of nudges his boss and is to go ahead and tell him. And Harrington just says, he's stroking his beard and everything, and you see there's still blood on his knuckles from where he was giving that ogre a beating. Get this. That girl that this Marty's all sweet on, she's a Richie, eh? She got money. It makes me laugh. So I don't think that Croyle knows anything about it. I don't think he even knows that she's got money, that she's got coin to scrape together. So I tell Doyle. Doyle seems pleased as punch to know about it. Now, as an honest businessman, all the things that I had to deal with this sort of business here, this little, information gathering as it is, tell you what, I don't know how it'd be involving with them kids anyway.
Well, you have provided me with a lot of information that may end up serving my purposes anyway. I do believe that Mr. Doyle needs another visit, I think.
So while that conversation's going on, what are the others doing?
Trying not to touch anything.
What else? Come on, give me something. I know it's tired. We're almost done, kids. I'm sorry. We're almost done.
I'm seriously dozing here. Sorry.
No
Miranda
worries.
would just be listening. I mean, there's not much. She might have exclaimed a bit about some of the information that's being revealed, but yes, I don't have a whole lot at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the lieutenant's just trying to, again, just keep an eye on everybody there to make sure nobody's up to anything suspicious while they're there.
Okay.
Security type stuff.
All right. Well, then, how about this? I would assume that the four of you are kind of keeping an eye out for things and stuff. Lieutenant, you kind of mentioned you're doing that a little more specifically. Why don't you all give me, let's see here, perception checks, or you can also use streetwise if that's better for you.
That's significantly better for me because that's no black dice.
All right. So whichever you all want to use.
What?
Any black dice?
Two black dice on this one.
Okay, I didn't roll those. I'll roll those separately. But look at all the successes I got on that.
That's wicked awesome.
I got one success.
All right, let's see here. Good Lieutenant has 2 successes, 1 black dice, so 1 success total.
Oh, I got 2 failures on that, but
All right, but
okay.
Miranda had 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 failures, so you have 2 total. So remember that for me. Dove, you got 2, 1, so 1 success for you. Loom, you've got 2, no black die. See there. And then Joyo, you've got 1 there, no black die successes. All right, cool. All right. So I think probably who had the most is that much, or that's Miss Russell, right?
Yeah, Miranda.
well, I had only ended up with 2.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So those who had 2 successes or more. So I think that's 2 of you. Is that right?
Me for sure.
I think it was just Miranda. I got a black die. I had 2, but I got a black die. So
Okay. So yay, me.
All right. There is a waitress, well, what would pass as a waitress here, who's kind of making her way through the crowd. And as you notice that as Dove and Harrington are talking about the children, her eyes kind of tighten a bit, and she looks as if she might say something, but then the conversation continues, and the Ratman that's there behind Harrington gives her a look, and she scurries off.
Okay. In the room where we are, have I heard other languages besides English being spoken?
Good question. You are a linguist, right? So go ahead and give me a linguist roll. No black die on this because this is your forte, so that'll work. For the others that basically got a success, that at least got a single success, you notice that the Ratman takes an interest in the waitress for a little bit, and the waitress takes an interest in the conversation. But the Ratman kind of scurries her on her way and says, "Don't
Any
move on."
black dice on this one?
No, because it's your forte. It's what you do. All right. Wow, nice. So, yeah. Okay, so in this bar, you do hear scatterings of Russian and possibly a derivative off of Russian that might be from the Baltic states. There is the distinctive patois of Indian that you've heard before. And over past the bar and in a corner in the back, you didn't hear them before, but there is this shrill laughter, and somebody says a swear word in Chinese. And you glance over there, and you see there's a group of what looks like cooks, and one old man, and probably like 3 or 4, at least from what you can see here, there's 3 or 4 other cooks that are there. They still have their aprons on and stuff. They look like they probably just came over from wherever they were cooking. And you guys know, at least from your experience 6 months ago, that Limehouse is not too far away.
Okay. So I want to go over to Dove's still having this conversation, but when there's a break in conversation, maybe for a moment, I'm going to get Dove's attention, but I need him to lean down because I can't, since there's Russian being spoken, I can't speak too loudly with that language, but I want to speak to him in Russian quietly enough that it's not going to be heard everywhere, but loud enough that Dove can actually hear me.
That's right. You have to have that balance.
There.
Have to have that balance.
To
Speak
say
it to
that,
my good dear Miranda.
there we go. And I probably would know that by now. Which side is good.
Right.
But I want to tell him there's more going on in this establishment than meets the eye. There's definitely some people here who know something about the children. I've caught some people taking an interest and showing a reaction while they're overhearing your conversation. So we need to do a bit more. We need to ask around a bit and be very careful with what we're doing while we're here.
So, I wouldn't have noticed him necessarily leaving the Rat Man because of the eye. But after Miranda draws my attention to that, I'd noticed that the rat man who was there isn't there now.
It's magic.
And I think that basically, I mean, this is the part where I tell you Dove's not a racist, but he knows that rat men are rarely rat men because they're, fine, upstanding gentlemen. Beast men just on the regular, that does affect their personality, and rat men are generally sneaky bastards.
Okay.
And so since Miranda's saying certain people reacted to me saying there's something shady going on and the rat man disappeared, I'm looking for the rat man.
Jumping to conclusions, but okay, keep going. Not always
that's not just me saying I'm literally looking for the rat man. Like that's what Dove is doing.
All right. Yeah. So this is while like kind of at the end of the conversation with Harrington, or how do you want to?
Yeah, that's kind of. I'm basically going to just be like, you've been very helpful, and then just I'm looking for that dude. I might leave with something like who was that man, the rat man? What is his name? I saw you give him glances now and then.
Oh, who, Joshua? Oh, he's me right hand, that's all.
Oh,
Done errands for me, that sort of thing. Why?
He's like, I find it very, shall we say, interesting that your friend has disappeared.
Well, he's a rat man. He does that.
Yes, this is true. But the rat man who is working for you.
Right. You got a job that you need doing? Something sneaky on the sneak, huh?
And this is when I basically say, you might end up making me roll intimidate on this.
Well, before you do anything, though, I can see where this conversation's going, and Miranda might kind of put her arm or her hand on Dove's arm, and it's always good to have contacts at who can perform services that might be frowned upon in certain companies. So yes, I think it would be good to introduce us to your friend. We might need his services at some point. She kind of keeps a hand on Dove before he starts intimidating.
Yeah, Dove kind of just snorts and just kind of lets Miranda do her thing.
So he looks at Miranda and then like kind of has a reassessment of her as she says these things. I'm assuming you're saying that in English, right?
Yes,
Okay.
In English.
And he glances over and he starts he looks at the doctor and gives him a nod, like a, hey, you're a dwarf, I'm a dwarf. We're all dwarves here.
We're all dwarves here.
We're brothers, man.
And then he looks at Monsieur Joyeux and he like actually glances down at your hands for a little bit. And then stops for a second. Right. Ain't something done on a sneak, eh? And he his eyes kind of drift over to the lieutenant, not knowing he's a lieutenant, that sort of thing. You ain't a cop, are you?
And Miranda just kind of laughs.
Yeah, Dove just goes,
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Ain't nothing that says you gotta tell me outright right now, but, just want to make sure. All right. Granted, Joshua can do some freelance work here and there. Sometimes, he has to get his own business, try and do some work. I can't give him every single job that comes my way. I got others that I'm looking out for. So, yeah, sure. You want to talk to Joshua? Is that what you want?
Yes, I think that would be Very, very helpful. I believe I'd like to know this Joshua. I think we could use his services at some point in the future.
Oh,
Yes,
believe
I
me,
look
love, I'm
forward
sure
to
Josh...
meeting him.
Oh, believe me, love, I'm sure Joshua would like to get to know you too. But,
Some reason eyebrow.
Right. Well, why don't you make yourselves home? Right here. I'll clear out a table. And he looks back and he snaps his fingers, and there's a couple of brutish-looking humans come over, and he nods over at the table. Hey, clear a table here for my new friends here. Right over there. And he points over, and they nod and they say, right on, boss, no problem, we got it. And so they go over and they take care of it. And not after too long, you guys have a table at the Bearded Wench. And as you sit down at the table, I'm assuming you all go. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting Joshua.
All right. So you all go.
It might actually be at this point that Joy is starting to consider heading out to see one of his contacts in the area. So.
All right. Okay. So how do you separate from the group? Are you considering it? Or are you going to do it now, or?
He might actually do it, so we can kind of set up going for that.
Sure.
And one off.
Sure.
Basically, just kind of excusing himself, like, if you don't mind, while you pursue this, I have another contact that I may want to discuss this with.
Okay.
So
And I don't think anyone's going to raise a fuss to that, so.
All right. So.
Gonna pull up his collar, maybe avoid some blood stains or whatever, and head out.
All right. So you make your way out, and so you all are at the table, and the waitress that had been kind of passing by that conversation, the one that you noticed, Miranda, comes over and brings a pitcher of ale and lays it down, and the froth kind of slopping over the side, and puts out a few wooden mugs to drink from. And as she stands up, she's kind of got a fearful look in her eye, and she looks at the people at the table, and then she looks at Dove, and she looks down at the ground for a second, and then she glances over at there's like a ledge that's all around the bar, like up near the roof, and or up near the ceiling, and it's got like different odds and ends and stuff that are up there, and her eyes drift up, and as you all kind of follow her gaze, you see like kind of tilted up against, like there's a pith helmet. There's like an old like broken war horn. There's it looks like somebody's shoes, that sort of thing. There's a crumpled handbag, but leaned up against a kind of a hodgepodge of assortments and stuff, you see a book, and along the spine of the book is written biology. And we'll go ahead and we'll close it there for the evening.
Good, because my computer just gave me a 10% battery.
Oh boy.
Perfect.
So the only thing I'll chime in with is before she came over to the table, I would have taken that second or two to kind of convey to the group that there's something with her and with the Rat Man and maybe someone else. So at least we're all aware of who I'm interested in at this point.
Right. Okay.
So.
And I'll make
All
sure,
right.
like, just so it's not like some kind of random drop. I mean, you guys know the importance of the book as far as the conversation with Robert Doyle. If you guys kind of remember a bit or no.
Yeah, didn't he said Professor Smythe was more, they studied him up for just doing the sciences, right?
Right. And that, I guess the, how do you say the, what was it, that the kid had been
holding that book. I'd been bringing that book around with him everywhere.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So. Okay.
All right.
So I mean, and we don't need to have that on the recording. That's no big deal. But yeah, no worries. No, everything's fine. So all right. So I'll let me come back in, and I'll just like quick close it up for the recording and everything. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for being here, for joining us for this little adventure. We're really happy to have you along. Thanks for your viewership. Make sure you subscribe, share out the videos, and get involved in a great hobby. It's a great way to get to know folks and to learn like what's your what's your creativity level. What's the limit of what you want to do in a particular game. And I think Victoriana is a great way to kind of express that creativity in a different venue, a different type of venue. So thanks again for being here, and we look forward to the next game session. Let us know what you think in the show notes. Make some comments, that sort of thing, good, bad, or indifferent. At least we know that if there's things we can improve, we'll be glad to do so. So again, thanks a lot, and we'll be looking for you next session.